The Buddha mentioned that in the beginning, when this world just began to form, yes, and there was empty, vacant, and then the Brahman being came to establish his throne here, and then he was lonely and he was thinking, oh, I wish some other beings would join me. And then slowly other beings would join him. In the beginning of that primordial time of our world, these beings, they don't need to eat anything. These beings, they don't eat anything because they came from the third world or second world, yeah? Or even astral world, and they don't eat anything. Therefore, they can fly everywhere. Yes. And they just live their life almost like the way where they came from, like from heaven, yeah? The heaven people, they think and they just get what they want. They think and they just fly. If they want to go to Kaohsiung, they think of Kaohsiung and they just go. Flying. No need airplane, no need buying, booking, passport, nada, nix. How nice. That kind of life is heavenly life. And then slowly they live in the world, then they bore, they play, they frolic around, and then one day they saw some form that manifests itself on the sea surface. And then they taste it. Oh, it tastes good. It's sweet and nice. That's the first time they ever tasted some physical substance. Okay, and then, they continue eating that. It tastes sweet. I guess it's seaweed or something in the very primary form, yeah? They eat, they like it, and then they eat, okay. And later they begin to feel like they should eat. They get the habit of eating. And then they look in, there's no more form around. The sea doesn't supply enough, so they go look something else. They see some crawling plants or some with flowers and look good, so they tasted it. It tastes good. So they continue eating that. And later they saw some fruit from the trees and they try that. Then they eat that. Oh, feels good. And so they continue eating one thing after another. And later they found some grains, and then corn and stuff like that abound on the earth's surface. They keep eating one thing after another. And then the more they eat, the shorter they can fly. The more they digest these earthly food, the lower they can ascend their body. And then their body begin from the etheric body, from the light body, it become more and more coarse and dense. And then slowly they cannot fly no more. And we are the descendant of these no flying people, according to Buddha, story. Now, the Buddha mentioned here, like the human who eat 100 kind of grain, meaning a lot of grain, doesn't mean we eat all 100, but, like 500, 2,000. 800 kind of grain cannot leave the ground, cannot lift his feet up from the ground. That's why I want to explain this to you, why the Buddha say that. Got it now? And then it doesn't end there. After that, they eat the grain, yeah? And in the beginning, the grain is a big, huge kind of round thing. Like, the rice, for example, a grain of rice is as big as, I don't know, maybe a few meters circumference, round like that. And then at the time, whoever needs to eat, that grain will just roll and roll to the door of that person. But later, they keep eating too much and the grain becomes smaller and smaller. Maybe the merit has diminished, until smaller size. And they become more and more human, earthling-like. So the grain becomes smaller, so they will use it and then it scatters on the ground and they grow into smaller grain, yeah? But nevertheless, It grows a lot, a lot, a lot. So more than enough for everybody. And they grow other things, they fruit, vegetable, fragrant herbs, all that. Okay. Everyone, they grow on the field. Everyone wants it. They just go out and get as much as you need. Okay? Tomorrow go get again. And then slowly their form changed from like a genderless, yeah, becomes they are different. Depends on how much you eat. The more our ancestors eat, the less beautiful they became. And then their form changed. Depends on what they eat or how much they eat. It changed into men and women. And then it become the desire be born out of these the different shapes. And then they begin to do things to each other. And then everybody else who doesn't do it yet point at them, say, how can they do that to each other? We're brother and sister. Oh, that's very bad, very bad. And they begin to then hide themselves. They start to have to find some place to hide. Then they start to live in cave and all that. And there's not enough cave then, as people begin to desire each other and try to couple with each other. And then so they build houses, and then they need land, and then they begin to possess, this land is mine, and then put fence around it. And then later, because they are too busy with each other, men and women, they're lazy. They don't want to go out into the field where the food were growing for them. So they don't want to go every day to get it. Yeah. And then so they go out and take a lot to their home at one time. So they don't have to keep going out again. And therefore it becomes food shortage. Yeah, and then they begin more and more trouble, conflict and fighting, and then possessive, and then begin to say, this piece of fruit land is mine, that is mine also. I harvested yesterday, today will be mine again, next week, next month, next year, all mine. And then it's begin the trouble, fighting, competing. And then the government are born. Because somebody has to interfere with all this fighting and arguing and quarreling. Okay, and then you have police, and then you have army, and then etc., etc. And we inherit all this until now.